would probably take an average 1-2 grinder playing his A game over an average 25-50 grinder playing his C game any day.
You're listening to the Mindset Advantage podcast. Each week, you'll get to peek inside the greatest minds in the game and discover what makes them successful.
Mental toughness separates those that can't handle the stress.
If you're going to treat it like an amateur, you're probably going to have amateur results.
Here are your hosts, Elliot Rowe and Adrian Talenchik Rousum.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Mindset Advantage podcast. I'm Adrian Talenchik, and we have Elliot, of course, here with us.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening in.
Elliot, why don't you get right to it and just tell us who we have today?
So, welcome Ryan to the show. Ryan, well-known coach, YourDoom. He's been in the poker industry for a long time and has been crushing the US games. So, Ryan, welcome to the show. What's been going on since we spoke to you back in 2016?
Hey, guys. Yeah, thanks again for having me back. I know it's been about 2 years since I've been on your podcast. But yeah, I'm pretty much still making my living playing a card game that most people play for fun. So what could be better than that, right?
Yeah, it's still going well.
Yeah, I think if growing up as a kid, if you asked me what my all-time dream job might be, if you threw in playing online poker for 12 hours a week and making six figures doing it, that would have been like exceeding all expectations of anything I could think of back then. So I got nothing to complain about.
I've read about that you say 12 hours a week is what you play. Are you pretty strict with that? Or why do you pick the 12-hour number?
No, I mean, for the last few years, it's just been kind of a part-time thing for me. I think it just gives me better balance. I also have my website where I make instructional videos that I sell to people. I do one-on-one coaching as well. I mean, I think I said in the last podcast, like I'm not really a workaholic kind of guy. I don't want to get burnt out, playing poker 40 hours, 50 hours a week. I mean, that's a grind, especially now. I just turned 41. So, I mean, I think my grinding days of just burning myself out and playing as maximum hands is pretty much over. I'm just now playing, to be good at poker, to enjoy what I'm doing, and to really just enjoy my life.
And when you think about that with the sort of the length of the sessions and things, what do you notice? Do you notice a sort of a degradation in the game if you start going over the hours? Like, what benefits are you getting from playing this sort of volume?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hugely beneficial. Like if I doubled my hours, my money won would not double. I mean, it's not linear like that. I think when you play and you just keep yourself fresh and you don't play until you're completely exhausted, I think that's one problem a lot of players have, is not knowing the exact best time, the most optimal time to just quit their session, because they just want to keep playing. They want to play more hands. And then you're playing through exhaustion. You're not playing well. You're probably moved into a negative EV state at that point, and then you're ruining your session for the next day. You're not going to be fresh the next day. So I try to keep it, to the point where, I mean, for me, it's like hockey. It's like get off the ice before you get tired, and then you'll be good in your next shift.
And yeah, I mean, it's something that, most players out there won't have seen. We're going to put up the chart that Ryan's got of his results over the last 12 months, and he's showing a 20 big blind win rate per 100, which is very rare in poker in 2017, 2018. Do you put it down to that? Do you put it down to that level of focus that you're putting in these shorter hours and sort of making sure you're playing at the right times and things?
Yeah, I'm very, very regimented about what I do. I make sure I get a good night's sleep every night before I play. Like I go to the gym, I work out, I'll listen to your warm-up MP3, take a quick power nap right before my session. Like everything kind of flows together for me to make sure I'm playing as much A-plus poker as I can possibly play. I mean, obviously as a human, it's impossible to do that 100% of the time, but I try to do it as much as possible.
When it comes to playing your A game, how much time do you think you're spending doing things related to poker that aren't actually playing poker hands?
Well, for me, I think being a poker professional is more of a lifestyle than just a job. Like I think you need to, sleep well. You need to eat healthy. I mean, no alcohol. I mean, I now drink like maybe 3 times a year, super special occasions only. Absolutely no poker the day after that. I mean, everything kind of really flows together for me to really, make sure I can play my best.
And when you think about the exercise part of that, how do you fit the exercise in, and what sort of impact do you feel that has on your focus at the table?
I mean, exercise for me is just my drug. It's my natural drug of choice. Right before my session, I'll do a minimum, a quick cardio workout, maybe like lay into my heavy bag a little bit, get all the tension out, and then, feel really fresh and good. get ready to go.
I assume that most people who take exercise so seriously also take nutrition seriously. Is that something that you focus on at all?
Yes. I try to eat very, very healthy, as much organic as possible. I was playing with the idea of going vegan, but it's really hard to do.
It's not as easy as it.
No, it's ridiculous. I'm going to do it. Everybody keeps telling me how awesome veganism is, and once you do it, it's going to be great. I'm like, okay, 6 weeks from now, I'm going to reduce my meat from, I probably eat I was eating 2 pounds of meat a day. And then I got that down to under a pound. And I'm just like, no, this is the end. I don't need to.
Respect to Mr. Daniel Negrano for managing to live the vegan lifestyle.
I'm like,
you started playing poker back in 2008. And the last time we had you on was, well, you said a couple years ago. I say we, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's all good.
What's changed in the last 2 years? Have you noticed any big trends or anything that's changed in the poker environment?
Not much. People still like to gamble. They still like to make terrible decisions. And as long as that's going on in the world, I'm going to be able to make a living. But yeah, not too much has changed. Obviously little trends, people change their bet sizings and little things will change. If somebody will make a new video on something and then that'll kind of come into the mainstream. But in general, it's been pretty steady. My win rate has actually gone up. I remember the last time we talked, Elliot, our last podcast, you said, well, we don't know how long online poker is going to be profitable. It could be 2 years, it could be 3 years, it could be 5 years. Well, it's 2 years later. It's definitely still profitable.
I'll be honest. I've become much more bullish. When we last spoke in 2016, I was very concerned about online poker being a realistic living moving forward. There was the Supernova Elite issues were happening, and the game was changing quite a lot. But since then, we've seen the US sites are relatively big now. We've got beatable games on some of the Euro sites. Ironically, I think PokerStars, certainly the Zoom games, became much more beatable than was expected after the changes that were made and spins. And then finally, you've got the Chinese apps that are very popular as well that people are making money from. So yeah, I went from being, thinking, oh, this is a bit of a shame. I think it's going to be very hard to make a living in online poker. And I'm actually seeing a lot of people having their best years in poker now, probably not as strong as the boom times, prior to, even when I was in the industry prior to 2010. But I'm seeing a lot of people who this last year have had some of their strongest poker. What are you seeing, Adrian, around that? Is it something you're noticing or not so much?
For me in particular, I haven't noticed a big change, but my games are in that I play primarily mixed games and primarily tournaments now. There's always some fresh faces in the tournament world too.
There's always someone there who doesn't know the rules. Play a game where not everyone knows the rules. It's always going to give you a big advantage.
Well, I think you're right in the sense that the days of rakeback grinder, like the guys who were breaking even at poker and making six figures a year in rakeback, are definitely coming to an end the way they're reshaping the sites. But that can be okay as long as you actually just get good and get better at poker, actually winning money in the hands. I think there's plenty of opportunity out there.
And that's where I think your version of, absolute A game, playing the best hours you can, making sure that everything's in place, that sort of thing's become vastly more important once it's not a case of just trying to break even and get the rake back to hit some target.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how important do you think mindset is in the online environment?
I think mindset is probably the most underrated thing that still persists out there. I keep talking about this. We talked about this 2 years ago. And your whole business is mindset, helping people with the mindset. You've helped me a ton. You helped, a lot of well-known players, but I think so many regs out there just continue to ignore mindset as, such a hugely important part of their game.
So if somebody comes to you and they say, like, in your coaching, do you just outsource or what do you do when you start talking about mindset?
Well, if someone needs a lot of work, I always recommend Elliot for.
Yeah, I've had a few referrals over the years.
Yes, absolutely. I can help people a little bit. I think I got an above average mindset. Again, I always need help from time to time myself. Most people do, but there's just a lot of things that you can just keep in mind, keep in perspective, like not allowing the wrong things, for example, to upset you at a table. For example, someone runs, kings and aces 3 times, or they think they're in some kind of downswing or they get frustrated. I mean, there's certain things that you should get frustrated about. You should notice, like if you're making a bad play, that's something you should notice, something that, if it affects you, puts you in a bad mood, you can, analyze the hand, get better at poker. But if you're just allowing normal bad variance to affect you, that is, one of the most destructive things that you can allow to happen. I mean, I had like a very short like bonus video in one of my courses. It's like a 9-minute video about how you should not allow normal bad variance to affect you. I mean, there's really no such thing as a downswing the way most people think about it, in my opinion. I mean, just because you lost your last 3 sessions, you should not expect to lose your next session. I mean, people need to keep in mind that variance has no memory, and variance owes you nothing. This is something that people just gets lost on people. That I've actually had people say to me, well, I've dropped down stakes. I'm playing 1-2 until this downswing is over. I mean, that makes no sense. It's just, I mean, if you have a small bankroll and you can't afford the higher stakes, that does make sense. But if you have a lot of money and you just think, oh, I'm running bad now, I'm just going to play lower until the software is done screwing me over.
Until the run bad runs out. And
right. That makes no sense. And again, like variance has no memory. Like if you're a winning poker player, every single session you should expect to win. And the only reason that it seems to come in streaks, and it does come in streaks, is because you're allowing it to affect your A game and you're not playing as well.
I like that variance has no memory. You mentioned that as a winning player, you should expect to win. I find that that's one thing that I've had to work on with my game is not necessarily expecting to win, but more so just being focused on playing well.
Right, absolutely. I mean, I just mean it more in the sense of like, you don't want to come into your session with a negative mindset. Like, oh man, I'm running so bad this week. This session's going to suck. Like that's the worst thing you can do. You should come in feeling good. Even though I lost my last 3-4 sessions, I feel good. I know that has absolutely nothing to do with what's going to happen today. I'm just going to focus. Because I mean, it's so easy to allow these like negative thoughts to creep in and really just chip away and destroy your game. I mean, I have like a big Post-it note on my desk. Like I even remind myself, because I mean, I'm human. It affects me too. Like you can take a bunch of bad beats. You're in the heat of the moment. You're like, oh, this is bullshit. I go, this is terrible. No one runs worse than me. But this happens to everybody. I mean, it's just the only thing that matters is how it affects you, if it tilts you, if it bothers you, and then, that's really the only thing you can focus on.
And I think a useful way of trying to view this is, as you said, everyone has periods of bad variance that they go through in their career and periods of downswing if you play for enough years. The edge that can be gained from this is the fact everyone has this. If you deal with it better than your competition, that's an edge that you have over them. So sort of seeing it as like a way of competing, a way of performing better, just accepting that, yeah, everyone's going to have this. The difference is when I have this happen to me, I'm going to keep a strong mindset. I'm going to allow myself to stay focused, to focus on solving each hand as a puzzle and moving to the next one. Whereas my opponents, the other people playing in my games, they might freak out. They may not be able to cope with this, and just truly try and see that as a sort of an advantage you're taking and a necessary skill to make money over time. I think that's been really helpful for a lot of my clients.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. I think that's definitely an advantage for me is just the low tilt factor that I've been able to maintain like in the last 9 years.
Yeah. Along with that, what motivates you to stay relevant or what excites you in poker?
Excites me?
Yeah.
Money, making money, being able to, I mean, for me, it's just, as long as I can, wake up, in the afternoon and work 12 hours a week and still make 6 figures a year. I mean, that's I wouldn't call it excitement. I mean, but that's what motivates me is just being able to keep doing my job and keep getting better. And for me, like I do need to work on my game. Like even like since we talked 2 years ago, I've probably gotten a lot better at poker since then because you have to keep improving. I mean, people get better every year. And if you're not improving, if you're not working on your game, if you're not, getting better, then you're actually getting worse.
And you have some other coaches on your site, right? Do you guys all work together to improve each other or?
Well, no, actually, my other coaches, the theme of my site is we have like one expert for each particular game. So I'm like the no limit guy on the site. And then we have like a PLO guy. I actually just signed a very, very, very good sit and go guy. He's going to be making a brand new sit and go / MTT course. It's going to be out probably in a matter of weeks. It's going to be, I mean, that's the most exciting thing happening on the site in terms of new courses. But yeah, I mean, the theme of my site, I always wanted, because I mean, a lot of sites just have like 100 coaches and they have, you buy your subscription and you get 2,000 videos, but I mean, which ones do you watch? I mean, it's like 900 videos say one thing, and then the other 900 will say different things. And you're like, there's probably some really good videos there, but I mean, it takes a lot of effort to find them. So I just try to get one really good, really qualified person. And then that's the guy, like that's the PLO guy. Then we have like one guy who made like a RAS course because he's like a top RAS expert in the world. And then that's basically how I run the site.
I can't imagine that life, being the top RAS expert.
Dr. Raz.
And you know, when you think of it like that, do you think it's important that people, if they are learning poker, perhaps they learn a certain philosophy or style first, rather than taking information from a lot of different directions? Or like, is that part of the philosophy here?
Yeah, I mean, well, it matters a lot on your level too. If you're a true beginner, I mean, I think some videos can be kind of destructive to your game because you don't really know what's good information, what's bad information. And one guy says do this, the other guy says do opposite. It's all very confusing. So I think it's good to just have, find someone that you do some research on and you feel like, well, this is a good player. This person knows what they're talking about. I'm going to just listen to what they say as a coach. And I mean, maybe you need some beginner material. Maybe you need some very advanced material. I mean, it's all about where you are.
How have you been able to continue to thrive in the poker training business?
Well, I mean, my site's still doing fairly well. I think I just really developed a good fan base. I started making instructional videos for pokerstrategy.com like way back in 2012, like right after Black Friday, I guess 2011 even. I developed, I got a pretty, strong fan base from that. And then I opened my own site. I decided to leave and open my own site. And I have a lot of people who, I mean, will just snap by anything I make at this point because they're just true fans and they really like what I have to offer, I guess. I mean,
and when it comes to the actual coaching, and I know something we mentioned last time, but for those that haven't heard the interview, your background is actually you were a maths teacher, so you've been in the real world and you have actually been trained in teaching. How much of a strength do you think that offers to the fact that you've come from a background in education rather than just purely you were a poker player before you started making training videos?
No, I think it helps me a lot. I mean, there's a lot of really good players out there who are good coaches. But there's also a lot of good players, I mean, who just don't really know how to explain themselves and explain themselves in a video. I mean, I think, being trained as a teacher, you really have to learn like the way people think and like how people view information and how like the best way to convey information in a way that people understand it and people won't get bored with what they're watching. I mean, I know my attention span is pretty small these days, like most people. So you don't want to have a lot of filler or like blather on or take 5 minutes to say something that takes 30 seconds to say.
And so were 13-year-olds or poker players more frustrating to work with?
13-year-olds or poker players? Depends on which ones, I guess.
How many years did you work as a teacher? And did you ever play poker while you were teaching at the same time? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I first started out as an engineer. I was an electrical engineer and a computer programmer for like 5 years. And pretty much got to the point where every day I went to work felt like the worst day of my life, sitting in a little cubicle with lights beaming down on my head, staring at a computer. And I'm like, I got to change this. This is terrible. So I actually went back to school, got my master's degree in secondary math education, and became a teacher. It's definitely a very rewarding job. If you like kids, you get along with kids. It's a great job, but it's also a ton of work for a tiny amount of money as well. There were a lot of negative things to it, a lot of like very rigid things to it. So we got to the point where I actually was playing online poker part-time, and I was making more money playing 10 hours a week than I was teaching 40 hours a week. So I had an opportunity in 2008 where I'm just like, you know what, I'm just going to go for this. If I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. So I quit my job and starting in June 2008, almost 10 years ago. I just started playing poker full time, and it worked out very well.
And is there any part of you that thinks, I wish I'd stayed as a teacher, or misses that? or when you're working your 12 hours a week, are you quite sure that you made the right decision? I know this is a tough question I'm asking you.
No, I miss the kids. I miss the connection with the kids, but that's the only thing I miss. Then I have like 15 advantages to what I do now, over that. So no. So no, I don't regret it at all. I think I made a great choice.
One thing I wonder when I talk to people who have pretty solid mental games, one thing I always wonder is, do you celebrate? Like say you have a day where either, I don't know, you win at a rate higher than expectation, or you just get into really great spots, or you play hands really well. Do you celebrate, or is it just all par for the course?
Celebrate? No, I don't have a lot of, some people call me, like a robot. Like I don't really show a lot of emotion, as a poker player. I think it kind of comes with the territory. Like, I think I got a lot more excited over getting a video game when I was 5 years old than, winning 15 grand in a day now. Just because, tempering your emotions and not having those extreme highs and lows is pretty mandatory. I think if you want to sustain yourself in this game and just, I won 15 grand. I feel good. I'm in a good mood, but I'm not like, jumping up and down. It's just not the way I am. Or if I took like, a huge loss that day, I'll feel it a little bit and I'll be like, oh, that sucks. But I'm not going to be like depressed for 3 days about it.
How rigid are you with regards to your 12 hours a week? Like, how many sessions a week are you playing to equal that 12 hours?
Well, no, I'm not like counting hours and being like, okay, I only have 10 more minutes this week, I need to quit. I just kind of play when I want to. Like, I just play, I feel like good, I'm like ready to play, I'll play 3 hours. If the games die out, I'll quit. Or if I'm starting to feel tired, I know I'm not playing as well, I'll quit. And it just kind of works out to be like 12 hours a day. I have a pretty, full life. I play hockey twice a week, so I'm not online those 2 nights. And then I, just go out and meet friends and just try to keep everything like well balanced and just have like a normal, sustainable life and not lock myself in a room staring at a computer, taking people's money all day, every day.
Just a few hours a day instead.
Just a few hours a day. Yeah, exactly. Maybe 3.
Something we've discussed in the past, and we've spoken about, you sort of found supplements useful. Talk a bit to the listeners about what supplements you found helped with your poker, and why you chose to take them, and how it's changed things.
Yeah, I've always been interested in like supplements for poker, like natural supplements. I've never taken any kind of like harsh drugs. I think one of the most destructive things in a lot of players' games is performance enhancing drugs, like the really like hard drugs that they just
the Adderall, Ritalin, those sort of stuff.
Things like that they take every day. Like, I met one guy like 4 years ago, and he's like, oh, I take this, I take that. He was on like 4 different drugs that he would take every day just to be able to play poker. I'm like, dude, like, how are you going to sustain this? Like, what are you doing to your health? Like, is this really worth like doing all this just to win some extra money playing poker? He already had, he was a good player. He already had a lot of money, and now he developed health problems and he's out of the game. That happens to like so many people, like so many good players on my sites, and then they disappear. And then you find out, through the grapevine, like, oh yeah, he like was on this and he was on that, and then he had to go off of it. Now he has this health problem. Drugs like that, I completely stayed away from. But there's also a lot of good like supplements that you can try. I think different things work for different people. But for me, the simplest, best thing I've ever done is found, it's called L-theanine. It's, supposed to be, don't just go buy something and take it because some guy in a podcast tells you to. Like, please do some research on it yourself. But for me, 200 milligrams of L-theanine and 80 milligrams of caffeine right before my session is a perfect, tried and true, perfect way to focus for the next 3-4 hours. And there's really no side effects for me. It's one of the absolute more safer supplements you can take. It's actually like a green tea. It's like naturally found in a green tea. And for me, it's really been a boost.
Excellent. So somebody comes to you and says, YourDoom, it's 2018. I want this to be my year. What would be your top couple tips for them?
Top couple tips. Well, I mean, I have video courses that I sell. I mean, I'd say you're in luck because I teach exactly how I play.
Buy from me.
Well, I mean, I've spent a lot of time developing a really good game. I developed an extremely detailed, very invasive HUD. Like, I think I know more about my opponents than they know about themselves. Like, I have a lot of like custom stats that I find very, very useful. Some really good courses I just put out this year and last year. My most popular course right now, it's called Expert Cash Game Play. It's actually in 2 parts. It's a 2-part course. The first part's 20 videos, and then part 2 is 12 videos. And I think the plan is we're going to offer a large discount to people listening to this podcast. So I'm sure they can find the coupon, somewhere in the fine print.
What we'll do is we'll put a link on the page for anyone interested in that. So check out the page for the podcast and click the link and go check out the videos. And outside of the sort of the coaching side, is there anything else you would say, this is a key to success?
I mean, there's a lot of little things you can do. I mean, one of the things I was just talking to someone about the other day is, I don't know if you noticed this, but I mean, a lot of high stakes regulars, they especially on PokerStars, they'll set an avatar and they'll leave it there. They'll have the same avatar for like 3 years. Like, that's a pretty normal thing to do as a player, right? For me, like, I remember playing against people. I remember like very detailed information based on images, based on their picture. So for me, the worst thing a player could do to affect my game against them would be to change their avatar. Like, they show up as a new picture and they kind of like triggers my brain, like it messes me all up. And I think there's a lot of people out there who feel the same way. So for me, one of my like most simple tips is either don't use an avatar, or if you do, please change it every 2 or 3 months. I mean, so many people don't take this seriously. They don't, I mean, it's a small thing, but I think all these little edges are going to add up. I mean, I look at it as if, say, PokerStars charged you $1,000 a year avatar fee, what percentage of players would pay that? None, but they are. Because I think if you're a high stakes regular and you have the same avatar and all you have to do is change it, I think you're going to I think that'll give you a few extra thousand in profit just from not having the same picture up on the screen.
Yeah, just from the people who are on autopilot, because some people will be on autopilot and they'll just be saying, "Oh, there he is. He always does X or Y."
Exactly.
I see a lot of the same players over and over in my games, and definitely avatars can be triggering to bring back certain memories for sure.
Yes, I agree.
Wow. Some awesome tips there. And, outside of the courses, which, as I say, the link will be on the page, where can people find you? What's the website? Do you have a Twitter, Facebook, those sorts of things?
Yeah, I have all those things. It's YourDoom Poker, pretty much for everything. Facebook, Twitter, YourDoomPoker.com. You can Google YourDoom Poker. It's you'll find it.
Awesome stuff. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show. Great to have you back. It's nice to see that it's all still working out 2 years later. So we'll see you in 2020.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
Hey, no worries at all. And everyone, check out the links, check out Ryan's stuff and the courses there, and let us know what you think. Excellent. So we shall talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, guys.
12 hours.
Yeah, that's not a bad way to live. I thought having Ryan on would be a good idea because I think it's important for people to see there are different ways of living the poker life. And, I'm sure if he played more than that, he could be making even more money out of poker. But he's made the decision that lower variance and higher win rates is the right lifestyle for him. And I think it's good for people to see just the impact that having that ultra high focus on high quality play can have on your results in your EV.
It is. I mean, I really appreciate seeing somebody who values their time and their time away from the tables so much as to find a nice life balance. I think that is pretty optimal.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, like you said, he's around 40. It may have been, something around the age and the family thing that makes this even more attractive. But as I said, just certainly worth at least trying those different things he mentioned in terms of making sure you've got your sleep, making sure you've done your exercise, cutting back on the alcohol, doing, pre-game meditations, and just see the impact it has on the win rate. Because, like I said, there aren't many people out there winning at 20 big blinds per 100, and he's done that over the last 12 months. So, something's working there.
Yeah, no kidding. What are you up to this February?
I'm talking to lots of poker clients, mainly. Oh, and then I'm also launching another podcast that should be coming out soon, where I'll be interviewing people outside of poker, so different people in sports and in business. When that's all launched, I'll give you guys a shout, and you can all check out my other podcast as well. And how about you, Adrian? What have you got going on?
Well, we have the Turbo series coming up on PokerStars right away, which I was exalting the other day because we're going to be going skiing and we've rented a hillside chalet. So I'll be playing my turbos in the morning and hitting the mountain in the afternoon, which really to me seems like a perfect balance.
Yeah, at least the tournaments will be nice and quick for you. Mm-hmm. So you can get your skiing in afterwards. Excellent. And where can everyone find out about you? Where can they follow that?
The best place to come hang out is come hang out with Team Talon on Twitch. We're twitch.tv/TalonChick. I stream 4 to 5 times a week doing mixed games, doing No Limit Hold'em, tossing in a few cash games again. That's where I originally started, and we're kind of going back to our roots a bit periodically. Anything goes.
So go watch Adrian crush those tables. And from my side, check out my website, pokermindcoach.com, and download my app, Primed Mind, available on Android or iPhone. And we shall see you soon.
Have a great week.
You've been listening to the Mindset Advantage podcast. To get future episodes delivered to you automatically, make sure to subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, or your favorite podcasting service. To get any resources mentioned in the episode or to listen to past shows, visit pokermindcoach.com/TMA podcast. Thanks for listening.